Okay, we're finally on the verge of the first Democratic presidential debate. If you recall, in 2007, by this time we had about 13 debates. I think the first one was on April the 26th. And if you know or don't know, this time around in 2016, 2015, 2016 presidential run, there's only going to be 6 debates. And it's going to be quite interesting what's going on here, because if you realize and notice, Bernie Sanders, I think the report came out that he just raised $26 million in the last quarter, fundraising. Over 1 million some donations came over the line, including about 650,000 individual donors. So Bernie is actually doing what he's doing without the benefit of having a debate, and really not even with the benefit of any media coverage. If you watch the news, number one story is something about Trump. Number 2 story is something about Hillary Clinton and her emails, and maybe the Benghazi committee being exposed as being the bogus crap that we knew it was. Number 3, give or take, is either talking about Carly Fiorina's rise up the polls after her debate performance, or it's talking about Vice President Joe Biden jumping into the race, or whether or not he's going to jump into the presidential race. Reluctantly, you might get a message or two about Bernie Sanders. That little tidbit I just gave a minute ago about the $26 million raised, the million or so donations taken online, and the 650,000 and some individual donors. That was the equivalent of a back page story, the way the media covered that, and it's really quite fascinating. And I think one of the things that people are sort of hesitant about, or I'm not going to say people, the media are sort of hesitant, and maybe some Democratic voters might be falling to that ploy that they feel that Bernie Sanders is not electable. And if that's your argument for either not covering Bernie Sanders or not supporting Bernie Sanders, I got to bring you back to 2007, or take you back to 2007. No one would have suspected that Barack Hussein Obama, candidate with a white mother and a black African father, would win the presidency. Yet he did. And I think what happens now is that people look and they get a little, look at history with little colored glasses and think, it always could happen. But that wasn't the case. I remember when the 2007 season started, I was a Hillary Clinton supporter. I watched President Obama, then Senator Barack Obama, make his announcement. I think it was in Chicago somewhere. It was outside. I don't remember the exact location. You guys can look that up. But I remember him wearing his trench coat, and it was a windy day. It was somewhere in Illinois. And he made the announcement that he was going to run for the presidency. And I was like, remember watching it, it's like, man, he sounds good, but he don't have a chance, man. I was like, I didn't think that a black man could win. Certainly not one named Barack Hussein Obama, and certainly not one that had been in the Senate less than 6 years. So he had so many things going against him. And when the debate started, slowly you start listening to him, but I still wasn't convinced, even after all those debates. I didn't become convinced, or didn't change my allegiance from Hillary until after the senator won the Iowa caucuses. And when he won the caucuses, based off that win and the cumulative effect of all the debates, I told myself, hey, he can win. Plus, it was the information about how much money he was raising. And so he was doing all that with, doing the debates. Now, let's come back here to 2015. Bernie Sanders is raising a hell of a lot of money with no debates and no media coverage. Okay? So, if Bernie has a solid, if not spectacular, debate performance next week or the week after next, a week from next Tuesday in Las Vegas on October 13th, if he has a solid, if not spectacular, debate performance, watch out. If this man is able to raise that type of money and get that type of support with no debates and no media coverage, watch out. You see what happened with Carly Fiorina on the Republican side. She went from the kiddie table to the main table to top three, and everybody giving her a fair shot at winning the Republican nomination, all on the basis of, or the strength of, 2 debate performances. And her fundraising still hadn't caught up with the media gushing over, because right now it's the media really gushing over, but her fundraising hasn't caught up to that just yet. Bernie's fundraising is blowing a lot of folk out the water with no debate coverage. I can't stress this enough. With no debates and hardly any media coverage. So it's going to be interesting. Now, I will say this. I'm looking forward to a spirited debate. And I will also say that anyone who's not supporting Hillary because of Benghazi or the emails, stop that. Stop that. Don't let the Republicans convince you that Hillary is tarnished waters. What the Republicans have a history of doing is trying to get us on the Democratic side, and I'm gonna say us because I'm center left, but in all fairness, I vote Democrat really 99.9% of the time. So, but what they are trying to do is get us to not even consider Hillary. Take her off the table. Okay? And that's the same thing that they did with Al Gore. If you go back to 2000, Al Gore ran away from Bill Clinton's record because of the Monica Lewinsky thing. And I think that hurt Al. He let the Republicans convince him that Bill was tarnished waters. So Al couldn't run on the economic prosperity the country was going through at the time. And so he still won the popular vote. And if not for some questionable dealings in Florida, he still would have been the president of the United States. But I don't think it would have been as close had he not distanced himself from Bill Clinton. And so if you spin forward now, on the Democratic side, let's have a fair, spirited contest. Hillary versus Bernie versus O'Malley, Chafee, or however you pronounce his name, the guy from Vermont, and even my man from, I can't even think of his name right now. So let's just be real. Let's have a spirited debate between Bernie and Hillary. And if Joe enters and O'Malley and somebody picks up some steam, we'll consider him. But right now, Bernie, Hillary is what we're looking at. And either one of those two, I feel, would make a formidable candidate on the national stage. So Bernie's doing it without debates, solid debate in 2 weeks or a week and a half or so from now, can really throw a little gas on his fire. Don't let the Republicans tell you that Hillary can't win because it's email stuff. Trust me, she can. So it's getting exciting. Getting exciting. So, fasten up your seatbelts. Get ready. 2016 is coming at you full steam ahead.